right 4 to 0, and then stage right 6. So that's how they bookmark to dance in formation. Behind you is our giant statue of Mary. Mary is 16 feet tall, and she has 2 faces. This is what we call mirror balls. This is the disco side of Mary. Mary is really big, but she's hollow, kind of like a chocolate Easter bunny. She also travels, so she moves on wheels, and I just released the brake, and then she spins.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. She transforms.
So Mary has 3 different ways that she looks. The first time we see her in the show, she's actually covered up, like she's in disrepair, and then we start to see things happen, and we see there's a net that comes off of her, and then we get to see her normal face. So this is the way she would look if she were a real human being. And then at the end, you guys saw for Spread the Love, when everybody's in sparkles, Mary gets sparkles too. So she gets spun around, and then when she's in place, we lock her down again, just so that she doesn't wheel. We don't ever touch her. Nobody in the show ever goes up to her, aside from the guys that pull the net off of her. But we always lock her down because she's 16 feet tall and she could do a lot of damage if she did tip. She's solid. She doesn't ever come apart. So the way that we have to travel her is she has a cart that is as long as she is wide, or tall, and then the cart gets stood up on its end. So then the cart is as tall as Mary is. Mary gets rolled into the cart, and then the cart gets laid down with a motor. And she travels in a hammock, so she sleeps in the ocean.
Oh.
And that's how we travel Mary.
So by boat, not by plane. By boat.
By boat.
Mm.
By boat, yes. We do have, because we play 6 different cities in China, they'll drive. They'll put it on trucks and it'll be trucked. But from country to country, because there's water, there's lots of water, it has to go in a ship and be boated. So that's Mary. You guys have any questions about Mary?
So she was...
I actually don't know. I have no idea.
You can try lifting it.
She's deceptively light. I mean, you saw me roll. I rolled her by myself. The fact that she's hollow plays a big role in the fact that she doesn't weigh too awfully much.
Is this the same size as the one in Broadway?
It is the Mary from Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there's lineage in a lot of shows that come from the U.S. where the production company that ends up touring the show ends up buying that package. So a lot of our stuff has, who would be a good example? I just blanked on her name. Costumes have a lot of original names in them, and then we label over with our people. So like Mary is from Broadway. Yeah. So let's go over on stage right, and I'll show you guys a couple of other things. So you guys will see a lot of the same kind of things. It's just a mirror image, or it's slightly different. We have a palette down in one, and we put different things. You guys saw the police station right before Find My Baby. We've got some dining hall pieces. We've got a bunch of different things. This is the prop box that I mentioned. So we've got other things that play on stage right that live here. This is the Dolores purse that you guys would have seen in here within these walls. And then the blue fur lives here too. Blue fur is really heavy, actually. So she has to carry that, and she's got the purse, and then she's got to run in those big giant boots. So Dolores has one heck of a job in the long run. Let's see. So as audio lives on stage right, we call this dimmer beach. This is all of our lighting power. So everything that is up in the air, everything that is front of house, my console is all powered from dimmer beach. these get packed up like audio does, and they travel with us, as does all the cable and things. If you guys come down, this is actually where I call the show. So this is the stage management console. I've got lots of different things going on here. The first thing that you guys will notice is I have 3 different cameras. I've got 2 shots that are the audience, what the audience sees. One is color, so that's exactly what your eyes are seeing. It goes dark on me like it goes dark on you. The other one is a black and white, which is actually an infrared or like a Batman vision. It allows me to see when it goes dark. So then I can see that a cast member is clear, or that a fly piece has landed, or whatever it is that I need to be able to see to make sure that we can continue the show. The last camera that I have is the MD, the music director or the conductor, and that is that's Chris, and Chris is down in the pit with the musicians, and he's conducting the whole show. Musical, it's obviously important that things change and move musically. Not every stage manager is a musician, but I played violin for 14 years, so I follow a score, and I can follow conductor. So I use Chris for a lot of my cueing so that lights land when they should, and scenery lands when it should. I have a call script, and I'm on comm with 16 people. I've got a handful on deck with me who are moving pallets and who are pulling rail cues. And then I've got electricians, I've got spot operators, and I've got audio. And they're all on these 4 channels. So I'm listening and talking to all of those people to make sure that the show continues to move. So I'm listening to the show to cue, and then I'm talking to everybody to make sure that things are moving. So that gets a little confusing sometimes. And then I have cue lights. The easiest ones for you guys to see are going to be my rail lights, and I have a red and a blue and a yellow. Oh. And the Christmas tree here. Sometimes the rail is on the opposite side of the stage from me, so I can't actually see the cue lights. This is really nice because then I know whether or not the light's actually working. We do a pre-show check. So we go, when I check all the crew in, I go through and I make sure that all the lights work so that I don't cue something and nothing happens, because then the show is weird. On is their standby, so when I give them the warning, I'll give a warning for rail 6, and I'll turn on a red light, and then they know when that red light goes out that they need to move all the pieces that are involved in rail 6. Same thing happens on deck, so if you guys look behind you, they're gonna be a little hard to see, but there are 2 amber lights up there that are flashing. Those are my deck lights. So I turn those on so that my carpenters and the props people know that they're in a standby for a cue, and then I take them out, and that means that they move the piece that's supposed to move at that point in time. Cueing is usually opposite, so if I'm moving the piece that's on stage right, they get a stage left light, so that they're looking across the stage instead of straight up, because straight up is really weird when you're trying to push something. Push sticks are really heavy and awkward, so we try to make it as easy as we can. So that's the stage management console. And we're gonna go upstage, and I'm gonna show you guys Gondola Row. Gondola Row is where we keep all of our quick change costumes.
Hey, there's food. Is that real?
So you guys can come on through here. We travel these gondolas. They are ours. They let us show.
Whoa.
Instead of using names, we use numbers for cast members. Oh, I'm talking way before we have people.
We're excited.
Hi guys! Come on back.
So you brought all of this equipment, and you're not using the one at Soler?
No, I mean, like the fly rail exists in the building, but most of what is the show is ours. Travels with us from country to country. There may be things that we have to source locally for any number of reasons, but we basically travel self-contained. So gondolas are set up with a number instead of using names, because we have locals that help us run the show. It's a lot easier for us to say, I need 26's pants, than it is for us to spit out a name. So every person in the show has a wardrobe number. Dolores is number 1, Mother Superior is number 2, and then our men start in the 20s. So we have 17 women and we have 11 men. Their costumes hang in these gondolas. They travel in these gondolas as well. And everything has a number in it. So this shoe belongs to number 29, Scott Fuss. So it's easy for us to make sure that they stay in pairs, and it's easy to make sure that we know that somebody has the right shoe on. Anything that belongs to them has a name and a number in it. This belongs to Edmondson, who is number 26. That makes it easy for us to track things and to keep everything together. Costumes are set up from last to first. So when the cast gets to their chair, they each have a chair. The first costume they come to is the first costume they wear, which makes it really easy for us to not get confused about where we are in the show and to not lose pieces. So the men have one side, the women have another. So you guys can walk through, you can snap some pictures. Please don't grab a hold of anything.
Can I bring this home?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this with me. I've always wanted to be a nun. So the ladies are the same thing. We just have a few more of them. They travel in about 3 people to a gondola. So the ladies all have different things. They all play nuns, but then we also have real world people. This belongs to Leah Green. She plays a hooker in one of the police station scenes. So they have different things based on which character they are or which track they're in. That's how we keep track of all of those things. You guys can come on through.
So for laundry.
What questions do you guys have?
How many pieces were on the costumes?
I think we have close to 300 costume pieces, individual costume pieces. Many of them have at least 3 different looks. The nuns have a lot of overlays, so they have a basic black nun, and then we have a lot of things that go over that to give them a little flash of color as we kind of progress through the story. I think it's probably a lot more than that, but I'm going to conservatively say there are about 300 costume pieces, not including accessories. There are a ton of accessories in this show too. Wouldn't even want to count them. It's a lot. What else?
Has there been any wardrobe malfunction?
Wardrobe malfunctions. We don't really have anything.
You have somebody to repair it once?
We do. We travel with 2 wardrobe people, and then we actually gain locals that help us run the show and maintain the show while we're in Manila or while we're in our next city is Guangzhou. So we do have the hands to fix things when things go wrong. And the cast, basically, they have a list. We have a call board, which is kind of where we put all of our information. There's a list on the call board that they can go to, and they can put their name and their number, and they can put the problem. And then that way wardrobe can go and they can look and see if everything's okay. They can pull the pieces that they need to fix a hem on or fix a button on. We have a couple of like trick costumes that can be tricky, that maybe they don't necessarily malfunction, but they just don't do exactly what we want them to. So we just keep an eye on those things, and we try to make sure that that if the cast has a problem with something, that we fix whatever it is that they experienced. As like, I can say that didn't look right, but I can't tell exactly why it didn't work. We always have to go to the cast and say, why didn't this happen? And then they'll tell us and we fix it.
So is it safe to assume that Dolores has the most complex or complicated wardrobes?
She doesn't necessarily have the most complex, but she is on stage for most of the show. And she does most of her changes are quick changes, where we have less than a minute to take her from one look to another look. I don't even think she has a minute to go. She The first look that you saw her in with the big purple boots and the short shorts and the bodice, she very well has 40 seconds to change from that into a nun. And that includes a makeup, like getting rid of all of her extra makeup so that she looks like all the other nuns do. So Dolores doesn't really ever get a break, but we have some more complicated costumes in the show.
Like, which one?
There's a trick costume that Eddie wears that's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
How much of your production, your props or your costume came from Broadway apart from Mary?
A lot of things have been either refurbished or some of them have been replaced. I can't tell you exactly how many of which. I know that like the Dolores bag has been recreated because it sees a lot of wear and tear. She runs around with it, things get pulled out of it, things get thrown into it. So it just kind of depends over time. The show ran on Broadway. It did 3 years of US touring. And we took the show, my US tour came over to Japan. So it traveled to Japan and then it traveled back to the US and now we're back in Asia. So things have seen some wear and tear, and I know that the costumes have been rented out to other companies, other productions. So they've gone through a lot of alterations and changes and stuff like that. The basic look is the same in terms of what the costumes are from what Broadway was. A lot of things have been reconstructed or helped a little bit because they're getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.